postponed. Are there any further amendments? Which one?
Jackson. Hello. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chairman Mass. Thank you, Ranking Member Meeks, members of the committee.
You just tell me you have an amendment at the desk.
I have an
Mr.
amendment
Jones.
at the desk.
There you go.
Thank you. I'm anxious to get started. We'll wait for them to pass it
Appreciate
out.
that.
Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, Chairman.
Clerk shall distribute the amendment that you just requested. Clerk shall report the amendment.
Amendment to H.R. 2633, offered by Mr. Jackson of Illinois. Redesignate Section 7 as Section 8. After Section 6, insert the following.
Without objection, further reading of the amendment is dispensed with. Representative is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Chairman Mass. Thank you, Chairman Meeks. Today I hear whether through indifference or deliberate misdirection, terms that are invoking white genocide. I think in order for us to heal the wound, we first have to acknowledge the truths versus the lies. There is no genocide going on in South Africa. I think we should be able to say that clearly and plainly. There has been atrocious history in South Africa, but a new South Africa is being born, and I hope that we, as members of this body, will be able to participate. But stoking those embers of fear and hatred and racial animosity will not yield us a very positive result. This committee considers sanctions. Sanctions is a moral instrument of pressure, yet some argue we must punish the South African government not for repression, but for seeking justice in land reform, economic justice, and voting, for redistributing land that was stolen from its people, for unsettling the long imbalance of racial injustice in South Africa. Let me be clear, justice is not genocide. Accountability is not persecution. Our work involves careful review of the information that shapes America's foreign policy, especially as it relates to critical partners like South Africa. My amendment to H.R. 2633 ensures that our relationship with South Africa is rooted in fact and not fear. Section 7A calls on Congress to insist on honesty in our diplomatic interactions. At the highest level during the meetings between President Trump and President Ramaphosa, misinformation or lies were circulated. Video evidence, which was a lie, was having to say there was proof positive of body bags in South Africa actually that came, but those body bags were actually in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and depicted Congolese victims. And for that, we've never apologized to the president of South Africa. Having a level of humility gives you truth, and then you can build. Another claim involved individuals making racist or incendiary remarks, yet those people were expelled from the relevant political party long ago. They are not a part of the ANC. We have people in our very government right here that are part of Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, and we do not associate them with the party that's currently in power. We can tell truth to power. Fabrications about so-called white genocide in South Africa have entered headlines in social media. These stories suggest that white South Africans face widespread targeted violence and extermination. They gain traction in certain groups, but data does not support the narrative. And I ask my colleagues, show us the narratives, or in the vernacular of the young people, bring us the receipts. There's no evidence. South African police statistics, independent human rights monitors, and multiple international investigations confirm no pattern in practice matching the claims of systemic government-backed attacks or extermination campaigns against white citizens. I wish we could have an honest conversation and people would bring information. Misinformation about this subject routinely creates international tension, leads to fear-mongering, and can distort U.S. policy if not challenged directly. Section 7B of this amendment instructs the president to review the accuracy and completeness of background information offered for that meeting within 120 days. The president must provide a report to both the House Foreign Affairs Committee and the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. I would say that I have a problem in taking the president at his word and on prima facie on what he designates to be his truth. This effort establishes accountability. Congress receives documentation and details for decisions made in America's name abroad. My amendment encourages truth over rumor, accurate reporting, and careful review to form the foundations of ethical foreign policy. Misleading stories about South Africa, especially those invoking the false narrative of white genocide. Wherever there's genocide, that should be highlighted, and we should be focused on it. No other country in the world is saying there's South African white genocide. This risks damaging partnerships and erode trust within communities affected by years of injustice. Policies shaped by rumor and deception carries real consequences. By favoring fact and oversight, this committee protects the integrity of our relationships and contributes to a future grounded in mutual respect. I urge all my colleagues to prioritize fact over fictions, to have truth over lies in our relationship with South Africa, and to support my amendment. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Representative Jackson is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Unfortunately, this amendment is another attempt by my Democrat colleagues to attack President Trump. The meeting between President Trump and the South African president sent a clear message. The ANC has led efforts to target and attack Afrikaner farmers, and we cannot tolerate these deliberate injustices. This amendment seeks to appease the South African government and is an unserious attack on the administration and its efforts to do the right thing in this case. I encourage every member of this committee to oppose this amendment. With that, Mr. Chair, I yield back.
Any other members seek recognition? Representative Meeks.
I support the gentleman's amendment that calls attention to President Trump's offensive treatment of President Ramaphosa during their meeting at the White House this past May. Like so many, I was surprised to see President Trump invoke images purporting to document the mass killing of white farmers in South Africa, when I was aware of no such evidence. And I was disappointed to see President Trump confront the South African delegation with video of bombastic opposition politicians and expect the South African government to be responsible for the reprehensible views those opposition leaders espouse. Public reporting since then has attempted to set the record straight, noting that the photos actually depicted casualties from the brutal violence in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, and backing up President Ramaphosa's assertion that the opposition leaders in the video do not speak for the government of South Africa. But we deserve to know from President Trump whether he has determined that the information he received from his aides in preparation for that meeting is accurate. You know what? Facts matter. They always have, and they always will. And this amendment will help us to clarify important information from that bilateral meeting. In fact, it will determine the facts of what was presented at the meeting. And I urge my colleagues to vote yes, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Any other members seek recognition? Seeing none. Being no further discussion, the question now occurs on the amendment offered by Representative Jackson. Number one, I oppose this amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The amendment is not agreed to.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to have a roll.
A roll call vote has been requested pursuant to the chair's previous announcement. This vote will be postponed.